All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome into Monday's edition of In the Game. I am your host, Hustle. And as always, we are going to dive deep into the crypto gaming, metaverse, and NFT market today. There's a lot of buzz and a lot of news going on around the space of not only crypto gaming and metaverse, but esports as well, which I've always talked about as a rising narrative in the future in the metaverse and crypto gaming. As we see Snoop Dogg joining Faze Clan, we see IMX raising 200 million in their Series C led by Animoca Brands, among others. And we have big news across the space to cover, along with some earnings guides. And today we're going to do an earnings guide on Crabada and kind of just walk you through the latest ROI trends, where you can look to approach the game, what levels of entry there are into the economy. And then on top of that, we're going to talk about what I think is a long-term solution for play to earn, because I think right now the way that play to earn economies are set up with the two token economies, that the charts really just have nothing but downtrends over time. I think that there's something to be fixed with that long term, and that's not going to be what all these games do for years to come. So I'm going to talk about what I believe is the solution for play to earn economies in the future to thrive long term whenever crypto gaming does get adopted. So without further ado, let's get in the game.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If you ain't here to hustle, why is you here? But if you here to hustle, the moon is near. It's crypto Banter, not financial advice. If you don't listen, what's the cost, what's the price? This ain't a game, put you on game. I know you gon' play, but ain't here to play. If you ain't here to hustle, why is you here? But if you here to hustle, the moon is near. It's crypto Banter, not financial advice. If you don't listen, what's the cost, what's the price? This ain't a game, put you on game. I know you gon' play, but ain't here to play. If you get lost, show you the way.
All right, and let's get into it. And as I mentioned off the top of the show, we saw just about 30 minutes ago, before recording this, we're seeing actually Snoop Dogg joining Faze Clan, one of the biggest esports, especially culturally speaking, probably the biggest esports organization out there. Faze Clan, as far as appeal, just culture in general, they are so massive. And if you take a look at the valuation, for example, behind something like Faze Clan, if you don't know, they have about $1 billion valuation. So Faze Clan really is something to be, definitely turn your head at that news. That is something serious from Snoop Dogg. And even though that's not direct like this isn't metaverse news, this isn't crypto gaming news. What this is an NFT record label owner in Snoop Dogg, who has mentioned he's bringing Death Row to the NFT scene, and he's going to make it basically an NFT album, a record label based on the blockchain. We're seeing Snoop Dogg, the cultivator of that, join Faze Clan. You could only imagine the potential partnerships he could bring along, because Faze Clan notoriously is involved with a lot of celebrities, a lot of other rappers as well. So he could also kind of rub off and bring that NFT blockchain savvy to other rappers and other celebrities and potentially get them involved as well. So I love this collaboration. Faze Banks is huge in NFTs. So I think this just makes sense in general for Snoop to go ahead and partner up with Faze Clan. And then on top of that, guys, we see Immutable going ahead and raising a $200 million round led by Tencent, Animoca Brands, Arrington Capital, amongst many other VCs here. $200 million in a Series C funding at a $2.5 billion valuation. This is big, and it just shows the conviction that a lot of these VCs have in a blockchain and in a platform like IMX. Notably speaking, they're going to be having games like Guild of Guardians, Ember Sword, Illuvium down the line. They're going to have so many different options on the IMX chain. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, what I just named. The Super Farm Marketplace will entirely be moved onto the IMX chain. So there's going to be so much volume. It's going to be hard to ignore with the IMX chain. And clearly they see that with the $200 million round here. So awesome to see. And it's a great bounce. I mean, definitely not a natural candle here, but a good bounce today from IMX, which you absolutely love to see. If you have some IMX in your bags, as it has been struggling along with the market, right? Before that news, it had really been on a downtrend because the market's not been the most friendly, and to be honest, there's just not been much news ever since the GameStop dumped their. If we remember a few weeks back, I covered this. GameStop, they dumped part of their token grant, which equated to many millions of dollars worth of tokens, and has really driven the price down ever since. We'll go to the monthly chart, or actually, it might even take a little more than that. But yeah, it was right here when they partnered up with GameStop, and then GameStop dumps millions of dollars worth of tokens, caused a big time crash here on IMX. To see this rebound today is definitely relieving for IMX holders because it has been in a steady downtrend ever since their latest partnership with GameStop. So that is positive news on the IMX front. And then I have to talk about this. It's Monday. We didn't do a show on Friday, and this really blew up over the weekend. Tai Lopez's NFT collection, guys. I hope none of you guys are getting involved in this because I wouldn't pay many ETH. I might think about 18 ETH to play one-on-one basketball with LeBron James, but with a game of horse with LeBron James. But to play a one-on-one $10,000 game of horse with Tai Lopez, Mr. Here I Am in My Garage himself, for 18 Ethereum. So for 18 ETH, you get to play a one-on-one game with Tai Lopez. Like for 12 Ethereum, one-on-one watch a movie with Tai Lopez. One-on-one VIP table for 15 ETH. Courtside at an NBA game for 30 ETH. Like this is such a joke. Networking is one thing, but like this right here is so over the top, so unnecessary, and so I'm sorry to say, like who would, I don't know, 18 Ethereum to play a game of basketball against the guy. That's unreal to me. And he has been getting blasted on social media all weekend. He's been at war with NFT influencers that I really respect in the space as well. So it's been kind of interesting to see the Tai Lopez crossover. And it's just, always keep your eyes out for cash grabs, guys. Like, don't fall for this types of stuff. The Pixelmons, the Tai Lopez's. We even saw Lana Rhodes rugged her NFT project. Go look that up. I'm not going to talk much more about that, but I'm pretty sure she rugged her NFT project as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the space that's cash grabby, that's unethical, that you need to keep your head on a swivel for. And this is definitely, it's definitely one of them. And then if you've been playing the Sandbox Season 2 Alpha, it is day 3 now, and they have introduced a couple of new experiences, including the Hong Kong Ferry Pier and the NFT Institute. So it looks pretty solid. I'll hop in here later again. So I know a couple of people have tweeted at me, saw you in the metaverse this morning or saw you in the metaverse today. So that's been pretty funny to see a couple of Banter fan people in the metaverse, which is always fun, because they'll run up to me and they'll start jumping around. And I'm like, okay, they know who I am. So it's very fun to see people in the metaverse and just kind of interact and have a good time. And the Sandbox Alpha, guys, if you're completing all these quests, you have that potential to earn 1,000 sand tokens at the end of the alpha. And then I want to talk about a sneaky drop that Gala Games has been doing in their Discord. So Gala Games has all their games listed out in tabs, guys, on their Discord. So what they do, they have, The Last Expedition, Townstar, Spider Tanks, everything sectioned out so it's easy to find. And if you're in a certain game, in a certain community, it's easy to divvy through. Well, for the longest time, one of them said mystery game. Well, this weekend they had this playtest live for Superior. It is a Gala game. It's a third-person shooter with like power-ups. It's super clean looking. And honestly, it just looks super fun. Like this looks like one of the first true games. Thetan Arena was fun, but they had their tokenomics issues, which will be touched on later in this video as we touch on play-to-earn economics and the long-term success of play-to-earn economics. But this looks like the most fun blockchain game I've seen. And whenever I wasn't really around the PC much, I was pretty busy this weekend, and I didn't get a chance to put my hands on this myself. But everyone I talked to that played this game said it was absolutely amazing feeling. So this looks awesome. And once again, Gala Games setting the tone, setting the narrative with this game. And this is called Superior, guys. This is called Superior. So this is kind of a mystery game that they've been teasing. It's a third-person shooter. And I'm really looking forward to this as the gameplay just looks really good, guys. Like the The animations look awesome. You can play with a teammate as well, as you see here. So I'm really looking forward to everything about this because it's action. It's a third-person shooter. It's got the appeal for mainstream potentially to adopt more users to blockchain gaming because it's not turn-based. It's not, this is super competitive right here, right? It kind of feels like a mix of like a more cartoony version of Gears of War, but a more fast-paced with power-ups. It really has like a blend of a couple nostalgic games, in my opinion. So I'm really looking forward to Superior from Gala Games. And then Enjin, we don't really talk about Enjin and what they're doing and the projects that they're backing much. But Enjin was involved in our metaverse portfolio, and I do think it is something that you should definitely be holding on to as far as your gaming and metaverse stack, as far as a broad scale when you're looking at your entire portfolio, because they are backing a ton of quality projects. And one that people don't really talk about too much is MyMetaStudio. And I've taken a look at what they were building in the past a few times. And with Enjin backing them, I'm super bullish on both what Enjin and MyMetaStudio are doing. So MyMetaStudio MMO that right now, so you can basically breed in a way. We'll have many species of meta beings, which you can crossbreed to create new, unique characters, unique NFT characters. And this is the tech that Enjin is helping integrate into MyMetaStudio. So as you see here, you can integrate with your MMO character. You have your shield, you have your sword, and this is just a prototype right here. But what they're building is really, really cool because they're not only building their own MMO RPG, they're integrating into current games like Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto, which is super cool because it provides a way to get into those games that are already existing in Web 2, but potentially rank up for earnings in the MyMetaStudio economy. So that's pretty cool incentive from this Enjin-backed project. And like, for example, if you're wondering how that would work, you can create individual servers. So they could create a MyMeta server for Grand Theft Auto 5 roleplay. So that specific server is only people who have access to the MyMeta GTA world. So it's kind of like Critters is doing. Critters is an NFT project that's integrated with Minecraft. So I really like those projects that do kind of blend the best of both worlds, right? With Web 2 and Web 3. And then let's get into the bulk of the show, guys. Let's talk about some economies in the blockchain gaming space that, they're both in a little bit of a downtrend, but the earnings don't stop. And I think that's what people need to kind of keep in mind. Like, these games aren't stopping just because the utility tokens are in a downtrend, right? Pegaxy, as you see here, they actually just integrated a DEX within their own platform, right? They partnered up with KyberSwap to bring in a DEX right here on the Pegaxy website. You can just literally click swap now in the top right and go ahead and swap out your coins between VIS, USDT, PGX, Matic, all that good stuff. So they integrate interoperability once again. So these teams just keep building, guys. Everyone looks so short term with these economies. And I'll talk about that more here in just a second. But one other thing too, there's so many scams, just like in the NFT space. Look out for fake apps, fake Pegaxy mobile app right now. I believe this is out on the Android store, for example. And this is asking for your seed phrase. So that should be an immediate red flag. Like, if you downloaded this, you should know immediately they would never ask for your seed phrase. All you would have to do is sign with your MetaMask. That's what you have to do on Pegaxy, for example. Never put your seed phrase in anywhere. That should be a red flag automatically. But just if you didn't see this and you're browsing your app store and you see Pegaxy, it is fake. Do not download, and definitely do not provide your seed phrase to anyone under any circumstances. Now let's talk about Pegaxy's economy real quick, because I see a lot of people, the sentiment's garbage. And people are so short-sighted, and people are so short-minded and extraction-minded right now in play to earn, that when there's swings, ups and downs in economies, people just get so emotional. And this game's dead, terrible game. Well, let's run through it. So I've been seeing people say Pegaxy rug pull, which first of all is extremely ignorant. You must not know what a rug pull is, because this game is still operating at a very, very high level, at a ton of users, still growing. And at the end of the day, they just made major economic changes, which if you give it a couple weeks, they will mature into improvements for the economy. But I've been seeing this sentiment on Twitter comments, in the chat box, stuff like that. So I wanted to emphasize, I bought my first Pega on December 10th. The VIS price was 11 cents. So the VIS price dictates the horse prices, guys. So the higher the VIS price, the higher you're buying horses. I bought horses all the way up to about, I'm scooping up horses now where Vis is today. But the point here is I was accumulating horses throughout this whole period. I've bought horses at the bottom. I've bought horses at the top. 3 weeks later, Vis was at 2.7 cents, right? So 2 cents, about 3 cents from 11 cents. So it went down about 75%. I didn't do anything but keep my Pegas in and keep racing, because that's the point. Those economies don't stop. And if the market's going down, if a utility token's going down for a quality project that you believe in the team and the game is still adopting and the game still has massive users from not only a retail standpoint, but from guilds as well, I don't see where the FUD is here or where the panic is. And they just made 3 major economic changes that are going to improve the economy. 2 months later, the VIS price went from 2 cents to 22 cents. And today the VIS price is 1.5 cents, guys. I haven't sold any horses. I'm just letting it churn. I'm just letting the stable go. I'm breeding more. I'm accumulating more. Because as I said, the VIS price dictates the horse prices. And I will emphasize, in February, there were 2 of the highest minted days of Pegaxy's entire history here, with 115 million minted here on February 12th. And this was right around the day of the breeding event. And this is when the economy really took a little bit of a turn, because it put a lot of VIS into the economy. The VIS burn rate is still very healthy at 87%. And without these 2 days here, with 113 million printed into the economy on the 27th of February, and with 115 million printed in on the 12th of February, the economy would probably be looking way, way more healthy, even than it does right now. And once these integrations, like the cooldown periods that will reduce the amount of VIS printed into the economy, I would definitely expect another upswing in Pegaxy, guys. So please quit the panic. Quit the FUD. This is a quality team. If you see what Corey and the team behind Pegaxy are doing, if you listen to them, they are aware. They are aware of the economics in play to earn, what's going on. They know what's going on with their project. They know what's going on with other projects, and they're looking for a solution. And I really believe in their team long term. And when Pegas are this cheap, honestly, when Pegas are this cheap, like 179, I've never seen a Pega that cheap, for example. I've never, ever seen a Pega that cheap. So do your own research, but I use these times as breeding season and accumulation season, because, the market might go up or down, but the races don't stop. The races don't stop. So I encourage you to don't fear if you're involved in Pegaxy. I would honestly just probably do your own research and consider doing some breeding while VIS is low, because obviously VIS price dictates the breeding economy, guys. So take a look. Do your own research, but I'm still very, very bullish on Pegaxy. They have stadium sales around the way, and they're coming out with a skill-based game as well. So I really like that, guys. They're going to have a skill-based game, which is going to kind of provide some separation. They're going to provide more clarity to the stats of the horses in the future. So all in all, I really, really love what they are doing, even for the long term. I don't think this game is dead, and the sentiment of Pegaxy rug pull is absolutely garbage. And now let's get into Crabada. So we're going to do a Crabada earnings guide. And for Crabada, I've been really enjoying this economy. And I bought crabs significantly higher than where they are now. And I have no problem with that, for example. I bought crabs when they were a few $1,000s, and now they're only $1,000 to get on the floor level. So let's talk about Crabada. Let's talk about the economy. And we're going to go over a couple of Twitter posts that did a phenomenal job breaking down all the aspects of how to get in and how to earn in this economy. And as you see here, still growing 27% up on users over the last 30 days. And the orange line here is still trending up. So more and more daily users coming into the Crabada economy. And it speaks for itself, because there's a lot of ways to earn in this economy. So Gojo Crypto here on Twitter, how to play Crabada based on your budget. A lot of people think that you do have to come spend $1,000 to get one crab, right? And then you have to get a team of crabs for $3,000. And to a lot of people, that is a lot of money. And so you're thinking, I can't play this game. There's a lot of different levels of entry here, guys. So there's actually a project out there called the CrabaDAO. And the CrabaDAO actually is an NFT on Avalanche that gives you access to a DAO that has tons of crab teams, and they actually pay out dividends to holders of the NFTs. So if you really don't have the capital to get in, but you are just dying to get into this economy, for example, that is a low entry way, about $200 to $500 for a CrabaDAO NFT. And you can get about 190% on your investment over about a year's time. Your APR would be about 190% per the calculations here. And what they do, they just pay dividends out to holders every period. And that's just off of the crab teams that the DAO is accumulating. And then for about a 1.5K plus, and that's a little inflated now because obviously we just showed the floor prices. And I'll get more detailed into what crabs you should look for because certain crabs produce better results than others. But for about 1,000 to 1.5, you can get one crab and you can rent it out in the tavern for a certain amount of TUS tokens per 2 hours. You can rent it out 12 times per day for about 400% APR. And we'll get into the payoff periods here in a second. For about $5,000, you can buy a full team of crabs and mine and loot for about 1,500% APR. So the mining, if you have a full team, the payoff period is a lot quicker than other methods. And then for about 25K, and I think even that's like saying if you have a bigger budget, just a bigger budget in general, you should buy 3 to 4 crabs and start a breeding operation for about 2,000% APR. And then let's get into actual numbers. So, that's all good and dandy, but that breaks down entry prices for you. Now let's look at the ROI guide. So if you want to play it the most passive as possible and you just want to hands off, let the crabs do the work, go to the tavern and you can rent them out for a set amount of TUS. And what you want to do, you just want to see what the market is, set it according to where the other ones are renting out or where the floor is, for example, for each crab type. As you see here, there's surges, primes, ruins, gems, bulks. So there's different types of crabs and they all rent out for a different amount, right? So let's say you pay $1,200 for a ruined, you can actually pay those off within about 83 to 92 days within the tavern. Now, if you buy a prime for about $1,356, you can pay that off between about 82 to 96 days as well. So the payoff period for rentals is about 3 to 4 months. On the high end here for a surge, you would pay that off in about 4 months, 123 days, for example. So really good ROI. If you're like, you would have that investment paid off in 1 quarter potentially if you are just going through the tavern and just renting and not doing the mining where you actually have potential to up your earnings capability. So that is the tavern. And as you say, this is only assuming that you rent it out 11 times per day. So the ROI is longer compared to last week. But as you see here, and that is because the TUS price, the fluctuation in TUS is obviously going to cause a little bit of drawdown in the ROI time. Now let's look at the mining. So the idle game and the mining game is the most crucial and right now it's the main part of the game until the battle game comes around. So what you can do, now this is purity. And what I'll show you here, for the best results, right? For the best results, you would want to up your purity level right here to 6 on the marketplace. And you would also want to either do only primes or bulks according to the ROI guide. Now, shout out to Miko Crypto NFT. He does a really, really good job as putting these ROI guides together. And as you see here, the best ROI are primes, followed by a combination of floors and non-pure primes benefiting from the 10% bonus. So as you see here, you can do triple bulks at all purity. And if you're only winning, or let's see here, there's not a win percent, but if your miner's revenge is about 28%. So if you're willing to reinforce your mines, which is basically getting help from the looters. So looters come in and they try to steal your loot in Crabada. So that's where you can lose your mines. But if you're willing to reinforce and you have a team of 3 bulks, full purity, you would be able to have your ROI within 67 days or about 63 days. And you're netting about $51 per day. That's with a team of full bulks. Now, a team of full primes, a full prime team of 6 out of 6 purity, so the highest level of purity, what I just showed you how to filter by, you would actually cost about $4,000. But at the current rate that they're winning at, so at a miner's revenge of about 40%, 5.5 mines per day, which is factoring in that 10% bonus, you're actually getting a 54 or a 50-day payoff in ROI. And then you can do combinations here of floors. And let's just go to the very bottom. Let's go to the very bottom. So you can get your ROI back with most teams, especially if you go full purity, within about 2 to 3 months here. The highest ROI, even with floor crabs that aren't pure, which are the floor right now are about $1,000 per crab. So at about $3,210, let's just say you win about, miner's revenge about 25% of the time, which is not winning every single mine. You would be able to pay your investment off in 71 to 66 days. And that is with completely floor crabs that aren't pure. So you can up your ROI time and you can up your chance of winning with better purity crabs, or you can take the floor route and you can just try to win as many as possible. As you see, they are factoring in a reinforcement fee, which is the gas that you pay to hire reinforcements for your mines. Now, let's just say you want to mine, but not pay the reinforcement fee, which I would advise reinforcing. You will win a few of your mines and it will up your earnings substantially. That's what I do. So I have 5 crabs in total. I have 1 team out there right now that's kind of just operating, and then I have 2 in the tavern. So as long as I'm winning mines here and there, that's all that matters, right? So I have a team of 3. I have actually 2 full pure primes and a bulk. So I have the opposite of this, actually. I have 2 pure primes and a bulk, and I have all 6 out of 6 purities. They went at a pretty solid rate, and I've been very satisfied with the economy so far. And I bought these high. I bought into the economy high, guys. So, it's not like I bought the floor here. That wasn't the case. I definitely bought in high whenever I got into Crabada, but it is producing daily returns that I can't complain with. And let's say you just want to play it lazy. You don't want to reinforce. You just want to mine, and you can lose every single mine with complete floor crabs and get your money back within 76 days. Within 76 days at the current TUS price, you would have your ROI paid off within 76 days with completely floor crabs. And if you wanted to step it up to a team of full prime, full purity, so 6 out of 6 purity level, you would actually have an ROI of 68 days, which is super impressive. So this economy is producing, guys. And I want to emphasize, because a lot of people freak out when they see this in economy. This is Pegaxy's, and they freak out when they see TUS. This is Treasure Under the Sea. This is Crabada's earnings token. There are times like these, and there are fluctuations like these in economies when there are changes made. And both economies actually just made extremely major changes. And I think that that's something you have to let marinate and let mature. It's going to scare a lot of people out of the economy when they make major changes, of course. So let Pegaxy and Crabada both mature a little bit from these changes and let those changes actually materialize. And I promise you, you will actually see probably another run from both of these games. And along with Pegaxy, there's a lot of development coming along the pipeline. And if you want to track your daily earnings, your net profit and stuff like that, I really actually recommend Crabada Tracker. I use this for my Crabada, and you don't have to connect anything. You literally just input your wallet address and you can see your daily earnings from Crabada. And it shows right there. It'll show your TUS, your AVAX. It shows everything going on from mining, looting, if you're renting. It'll show your net profits, all that good stuff. So I definitely recommend CrabadaTracker.app if you are looking for somewhere to track your Crabada. And then I want to show this, the testnet of Swimmer Test. So the SwimmerNet is the testnet right now operating for Crabada. Look how much quicker it is than the Avalanche C chain. Now, this is a testnet, obviously, but the quickness here of the Swimmer testnet is definitely impressive. As Avalanche C chain, this is realistic. I do this every day when I go through my mining raids, for example. So this is realistic, and I see this all the time. So it definitely does take about that long. So this is what they are building. So they have their own. They're going to have their own subnet here, which is the Swimmer network. And they're going to use TUS, the utility token, as gas fees, which is another reason I think that this in the future will have another run up, because you have to hold it to transact in the Crabada game in the future. So definitely bullish on both Pegaxy and Crabada. And the next earnings guide will be on Cyball, as we are right around the corner from the first rewards claim, guys. So look out for that. And then really, really quick, 5 to 10 minutes, I want to talk about the future of play to earn economies, guys. And the reason I want to talk about the future of play to earn economies is, where is the fine line? What is going to work long term, right? So traditional games, that I was playing as kids, they didn't incorporate microtransactions up until like Madden Ultimate Team and projects like that started rolling out microtransactions more and more inside of the game. And then microtransactions really took over the Fortnites and the Warzones and the Valorants, these free-to-play games that are free to play, but they make so much money through the microtransactions and the secondary transactions in these economies. But right now with play to earn, it's we're seeing that, as the people are terming it, as Ponzi-nomics, with you have to buy in this much to get involved in the game, and then basically you're earning this much, but then there's incentive to buy in more, and basically the people who get in early, people think only make the most money. The people who get in late are just exit liquidity. A lot of people see play to earn gaming like that right now, and they call it the Ponzi-nomics, as some call them, with the tokenomic setups, the buy-in requirements for assets, etc. And they have definitely shown their flaws. So how about we resort back to rewarding players for progress? Ding, light bulb in the head goes off, and you look at these in-game economies. So what's wrong, right? What has gone wrong with these tokenomics that are great projects? I'm going to be honest, like, most of these projects that we're going to talk about are fantastic projects. Axie Infinity set the standard. They're literally a unicorn in the space as far as setting the trend, right? They stood out, and they absolutely bucked the trend and put crypto gaming on the map almost with their historic run last year. But as you see here, SLP has not been performing well since August. So this is the in-game earning token for Axie Infinity. And why is that, right? Well, breeding is no longer very lucrative in Axie Infinity, right? Because there's 663,000 Axies in this economy now. So where's the value in that, right? There's 10,000 profile pictures on OpenSea that have trouble keeping value, right? Like, that has enough trouble keeping value at 10,000. Most of these land ecosystems have 60,000, 80,000 land plots, stuff like that. We're looking at 600,000 Axies in this economy. So right now, it's $20 for the economy is so low entry. There's not much money to be made with an Axie Infinity. Here's the Thetan coin, THC. So the in-game earning token for Thetan Arena, which only really had a couple of days of shine. And they never have put utility into the game that is going to sustain this. As you look at their white paper, there's just not enough utility. Like, the rental system isn't really lucrative on either side. It's not set up correctly. There's not enough utility to put THC back into the economy. There's no breeding system. Like, that's how a lot of economies stay healthy. Every economy that has had a lot of success, honestly, has a breeding mechanism. When you look at Axie, Pegaxy, Crabada, etc., like, they haven't even come out with breeding yet, and I just don't understand it. So they're having a lack of utility for the token. And on top of that, they're shooting themselves in the foot by putting game caps on characters, which is garbage. What normal game that you turn on your Xbox or PlayStation to play any given day, what normal game do you go to and they make you pay for a character, and then they say, oh, by the way, you can only play 200 matches with that character, and then you can't play anymore. You can't earn anymore after that. Surprise. So if you don't win enough matches, you're literally losing money. So they don't incentivize the player at all to get involved here with that type of model. And as I mentioned, with Vigorous, here's the trend right now with the Pegaxy token, which also, along with TUS, I'm still very strong on these economies. But you can see here with Heroes and Empires, nothing but a downtrend. You can see here with the Wonder Hero Han token. So Han is the utility token, the in-game earnings token for the Wonder Hero game. It has had nothing but a downtrend. So let's wrap our heads around this. Everyone buys into these economies, and eventually we're seeing that every single one of these tokens, they eventually crash because either liquidity leaves, changes are made in the economy that scares people out, or they just get too overheated. And then, like I said, players move on, trends change, people go to the next thing, etc. There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of flaws, as I just mentioned, with the overpopulation of Axies, for example, or the lack of incentives for the THC token or the players within Thetan Arena, for example. But when you're looking at the bigger scale picture, the two token economics are just not going to work long term. The two token economics are not going to work. What is the solution? We need to resort back to there was never a day that I walked into the GameStop and the GameStop guy says, by the way, you have to buy $300 worth of characters to play this game. No, it was I bought the game for $60, right? So I buy the game for $60. Let's just say. So I pay $60 and I buy the game. So for an NFT game, let's just say you have to pay $100 to play. Just flat number, whatever. $100, or they can sell land assets like Big Time. So Big Time is actually going with the trend that I'm about to talk about. But let's just say they have a set price, they sell land assets, or they sell things that will actually produce for you in the game, but that not necessarily will give you an in-game advantage or that become pay to win, right? So let's resort back to in-game progress, right? What about progressing levels in a campaign? So games incorporating single player where you have, this is Halo 3, for example, Halo, Cortana, the Covenant. So as you progress on different difficulties, you can actually earn different NFT assets, or maybe you can only earn the token as you progress, or as you beat the campaign, you are allocated 1,000 of this token, right? Because of your progress. Maybe make it bigger rewards for the guys who actually participate in the game, right? So instead of you just buy the best assets in the game and you can try to dominate the economy because you're a whale with a bunch of sponsors, how about we actually incentivize the players to start from the ground up, not have to pay to enter the economy, but where they get paid out is actually through leveling up and progressing through the game and earning a new weapon, earning a new attachment, for example. As we see, you can progress through missions here on Halo. You can progress through missions here on Angry Birds. And as you got a 3-star here on this mission, boom, maybe you earn a certain amount of tokens. Or maybe you earn a certain NFT asset. You earn something brand new for every row that you complete. Maybe it's not every mission you complete, right? So instead of making it these Ponzi-nomics, so to speak, right, where people buy in assets, and it's basically like eventually a lot of these games become a pyramid to where the people at the bottom made the most money, right, who got in very, very early, and a lot of these economies collapse on themselves. So that's what I mean by a pyramid, because like a lot of the time the earnings just saturate and collapse on themselves. So it makes it that format where the early, the early adopters do make a little more in the economy a lot of the time, especially when you're talking about like Axie Infinity, for example. Early adopters really made a killing there, but if you're still in Axie right now, you're definitely not making a killing. So we need to find a healthier way. And I think progress and progression through these games is the way to go. For example, let's look at the Xbox 360 model. When I was a kid, if I wasn't grinding multiplayer Call of Duty matches all day, I would actually go into these single player games and these different games, and I would grind out achievements. And there was nothing better than when you completed a mission, it gives you an achievement, which gives you gamer score, which is right here. So as you complete achievements, you could also earn gamer score, which you could cash in for NFT assets, which you could then potentially either sell or use in the game that you're playing. It's so like, if I can think of these things, I'm just wondering when the trend's going to change in play to earn economics to move towards these things, right? So this incentivizes you to play more of the game. So for example, this game right here, this Sonic game on this screenshot, this person has 500 out of 500. He has the entire game completed. So now that you have every achievement in the game taken care of, you should be able to cash in that gamer score for a prize or an NFT in the game of your choice, or in that game if you so choose. And that's how you earn. And then you can go to the marketplace, right? I think that is so much more healthy. These assets would actually only be printed into the economy by progression. If no one ever reaches level 100 and gets the level 100 sword, well, then so be it. It'll never be out in the ecosystem. It'll never be in the marketplace. That's just how it's going to go, right? I think that is so much healthier than what we are seeing in the space right now. So I hope to see a lot of projects move towards this standard, right? So if, like I said, if no one ever reaches level 100, there will never be that level 100 sword in World of Warcraft that, is just going to absolutely make you a beast. The only way that's ever going to get into the economy if someone actually progresses and earns it. And then it would only be in the economy by the amount of people who earn it. Like, it's, in my opinion, it's just so much of a simpler method to make the economy much more healthy long term. And then you look at simple stuff like Warzone. If you want to look at like shooters, weapon games, you have to level up every single weapon here. So you see the M4 is level 20. On top of that, you have to earn every attachment. So you could sell your barrel, you could sell the suppressor, you could sell the field agent grip, you could sell the 50 round mag, for example. So there's a lot of different assets from these styles that I'm talking about, from progression-based economies instead of these tokenomics, 2-token economies with these burning mechanisms that long-term most of the time won't work out. These progression-based economies, which have flourished in normal games for a long time without an earnings aspect. So if you do bake in an earnings aspect where you earn exclusive NFTs that are flippable down the line, that actually add incentive for the player to grind and go get it because other players can't buy it, that's going to change the space. And then obviously you can incorporate challenges, you could do battle passes. And the goal here is to create an ecosystem like a Grand Theft Auto where you have like your reputation, that's like your XP that you've built up in the game. You have your cash earned, which is actually what you've been paid out through what you've from your rep points. You're level 50, so you may have been paid out 50 different times in different things, NFTs or a token here or something like that, right? So as your progression, you earn more cash. So that's the goal, is to build a healthy ecosystem. Projects like Big Time are going this route. So Big Time has said you can't buy the assets. It's not pay to win. You have to progress to get the assets in this economy, according to Big Time. Same with Heroes of Mavia. They're actually using a simulation to choose the exact Ruby amounts for in-game items and rewards, which will help the ecosystem remain balanced and sustainable. So even though they're going with a token metric, they actually have a system in place to try to keep it balanced long term. As well, they're going to have staking mechanisms, etc. And on top of that, we see Frontier here. So Missing Frontier is a Ubisoft-backed NFT game that's on the horizon. They're doing case studies right now on tokenomics, which they think actually have some strengths in them. They just did one on Galaxy Fight Club, talking about the token, the loot boxes, the fighters, the weapons, and how they all healthily culminate to a play-to-earn economy that, once active, has a real shot at actually lasting long-term, as opposed to these 2-token economies that, historically speaking, have all seen a fall off at some point in time. But the strength will rise again. And in my opinion, if you're backing the games with a strong narrative, a strong trend, strong economy, and strong teams, you will win long-term in this game that we do truly play, called Play to Earn. So that is my scoop on where I think tokenomics and economics need to move in Play to Earn. And then also a little bit of an earnings guide on Crabada, a little bit of an update on Pegaxy, and some news in the space. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. Without further ado, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more every single weekday here, 1:30 Eastern time in the game, Monday through Friday. So I will get out of here. Till tomorrow, guys. Play well, my friends.
Mm-hmm.